Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. Most people live their entire lives as slaves. Slaves to anger, slaves to fear, slaves to every little thing that triggers them. Someone says the wrong thing and their whole day is ruined. Something doesn't go their way and they fall apart. But there's a different way. A way that separates those who control from those who get controlled. A way that turns your mind into an unstoppable machine. 500 years ago, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli figured this out. While everyone else was writing fairy tales about morality and honor, he was studying raw human nature. He watched kingdoms rise and fall. He saw who survived and who got destroyed. And he wrote down the truth that nobody wanted to hear. Today, you're going to learn what he discovered, and after today, you'll never look at the world the same way again. Before we dive in, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my emotions. Let's begin. Number 1. Never show your true face. The moment you show people what you're really thinking, you lose. Most people walk around with their hearts wide open. They tell everyone how they feel. They show every reaction on their face. They think this makes them genuine, real, authentic. What it actually makes them is vulnerable. Think about poker. The worst player at the table is the one whose face tells you everything. You can read their excitement when they get good cards. You can see their disappointment when the cards are bad. They might as well flip their hand over and show you. Life is the same game, except the stakes are higher. When you show anger, people know exactly how to push your buttons. When you show fear, they know where to apply pressure. When you show desire, they know what to dangle in front of you to control you. You become predictable, and predictable people get used. Machiavelli understood this at a level most people never reach. He watched rulers who wore their emotions like badges. They'd get insulted and immediately retaliate. They'd get scared and immediately retreat. They'd get excited and immediately overcommit. And they all got destroyed by people who kept their emotions hidden. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Let that sink in deep. People don't judge you by your intentions. They don't judge you by your character. They judge you by what you show them. So why would you ever show them your weaknesses, your insecurities, your triggers, your desires? The mask isn't about being fake. It's about being smart. It's about understanding that information is power and your emotions are information. Look at the people who win at life, the ones who seem untouchable, the ones who never lose their cool no matter what happens. You think they don't feel things? You think they're robots? No, they feel everything. But they've learned to create space between what they feel and what they show. That's the mask. And it's not something you wear occasionally. It becomes part of who you are. When something good happens, your face stays neutral while inside you're planning how to leverage it. When something bad happens, your face stays neutral while inside you're calculating your next move. When someone tries to provoke you, your face stays neutral while inside you're deciding if they're even worth your energy. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you controlled. And control is everything. Start practicing this today. When something makes you angry, don't show it. When something excites you, don't broadcast it. When someone tries to read you, give them nothing. Become a mystery, become unpredictable, become someone people can't figure out. Because the moment they can't read you, they can't control you. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I reveal nothing. Number 2. See people as they are, not as you wish them to be. This is going to hurt, but you need to hear it. Most people are not who you think they are. And the reason you don't see them clearly is because you're projecting your own values onto them. You're loyal, so you assume they're loyal. You're honest, so you believe what they tell you. You're kind, so you expect kindness back. That's how you get hurt. That's how you get used. That's how you get blindsided. Machiavelli had zero illusions about human nature. He didn't see people as good or evil. He saw them as they actually were: self-interested, inconsistent, driven primarily by what benefits them in the moment. And you know what? He was right. Now, this doesn't mean everyone's terrible. It means most people are human. And humans are complicated. They have good qualities and selfish qualities. They're loyal until it costs them something. They're honest until lying is more convenient. They're supportive until supporting you conflicts with their own interests. That's not cynicism. That's reality. The problem is that we don't want to see this. We want to believe in people. We want to trust. We want to think the best of others. And that desire makes us blind. Machiavelli once said, "Men are so simple and so much creatures of circumstance that he who deceives will always find someone ready to be deceived." Don't be that someone. Start looking at what people do, not what they say. Words are cheap. Promises cost nothing. Anyone can tell you they care about you. Anyone can say they have your back. But what do they do when it's inconvenient to keep that promise? What do they do when supporting you costs them something? What do they do when nobody's watching? That's the real person. Here's an exercise that'll open your eyes. Think about the people in your life. Now be brutally honest. How many of them have shown up for you when you had nothing to offer them? How many have stayed consistent even when you weren't useful? How many have kept their word when keeping it was difficult? The number is probably smaller than you'd like to admit. And that's okay. Once you see this clearly, you can adjust. You can protect yourself. You can invest your energy in the few people who are actually solid instead of spreading it thin, trying to maintain relationships that are one-sided. This doesn't mean you become paranoid or cruel. It means you become realistic. You test people over time. You watch their patterns. You notice inconsistencies. You pay attention to what they do when they think it doesn't matter. The people who gossip to you about others will gossip about you to others. The people who treat others poorly when it benefits them will eventually treat you the same way. The people who are only around when things are good will disappear when things get hard. See it, accept it, adjust accordingly. Stop making excuses for repeated behavior. Stop giving unlimited second chances to people who keep showing you exactly who they are. Stop hoping people will change when they've demonstrated over and over that they won't. One of the most powerful things you can do is remove your emotional attachment to who you want people to be and see clearly who they actually are. Some people are solid, reliable, consistent, worth your trust. Most aren't. Figure out which is which and treat them accordingly. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see truth clearly. Number 3. Kill your emotional reactions. Let me ask you something harsh. How many times have you reacted to something and made it 10 times worse? Yeah, all of us have been there. Your emotions move fast, faster than your brain can keep up with. Something happens and boom, you're angry, you're hurt, you're defensive, you're reactive, and before you know it, you've said something you can't take back or done something you regret. That's because emotions don't think, they just react. They're programmed to respond to threats instantly, without analysis, without consideration of consequences. That was useful when we were running from predators, but in modern life, it's a liability. Machiavelli studied this pattern over and over. He watched people destroy themselves because they couldn't control their immediate reactions. Someone would insult them and they'd start a feud. Someone would challenge them and they'd make a rash decision. Someone would provoke them and they'd walk right into a trap. The pattern was always the same: react fast, lose hard. So what's the solution? Simple. Never react immediately to anything significant. When something happens that triggers you emotionally, that's your signal to pause, not to act. To pause, take a breath, take an hour, take a day if you need to. Let that initial wave of emotion pass through you without making any decisions. Because here's what most people don't understand. That first emotional response is almost always wrong. It's exaggerated, it's clouded, it's based on threat perception, not reality. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does, finally." But there's a key insight here. The fool reacts in the moment and then later realizes they were wrong. The wise man waits until clarity arrives and then acts with precision. This is what separates amateurs from masters. Amateurs are reactive. Masters are responsive. When you delay your reaction, something interesting happens. The situation starts to look different. You start seeing angles you missed. You start noticing details your emotional brain overlooked. You start understanding the real game being played. And then when you finally respond, it's not emotional, it's surgical. It's calculated to achieve exactly what you want. Think about the last time someone said something that made you furious. In that moment, you probably wanted to fire back immediately, to defend yourself, to attack them. But imagine you waited 24 hours. After that time, the fury fades, and you start seeing the situation clearly. Maybe they were trying to provoke you. Maybe they were projecting their own issues. Maybe they were testing you. Maybe it wasn't even about you at all. Suddenly, your response changes completely. Instead of a defensive explosion, you can choose silence. Or you can choose a calm, measured reply that shows you're unbothered. Or you can choose to address the real issue instead of the surface insult. That's power. That's control. Create a rule for yourself. Any decision that involves strong emotion gets delayed by at least one sleep cycle. No matter how urgent it feels, wait until you've slept on it. You'll be shocked at how many problems solve themselves when you stop reacting to them immediately. Your emotions aren't bad, but they're also not reliable advisors. They're like an alarm system, useful for alerting you to pay attention, but terrible at telling you what to actually do. Learn to feel your emotions fully, but act on them selectively. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose my response. Number 4. Fortune favors the prepared. Always have a backup plan. Want to know the fastest way to lose everything? Put all your trust in one path, one plan, one option, one way forward. Life doesn't respect single-path thinking. Life is chaos. Things change. Situations shift. What worked yesterday stops working today. And when that happens, people with only one plan get destroyed. Machiavelli watched this happen constantly. Someone would have everything figured out. They'd be comfortable, secure, confident that their path was solid. Then one thing would change. One unexpected event, one shift in circumstances, and boom, everything falls apart. They're lost, confused, helpless. The survivors were never the ones with the best original plan. They were the ones with multiple plans, backup options, alternative paths ready to go. Machiavelli once said, "Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great." But willingness alone accomplishes nothing. You need preparation. You need contingencies. You need the ability to pivot when your first option disappears. Think about this practically. What happens if your main source of income vanishes tomorrow? Do you have skills you can leverage elsewhere? Do you have savings? Do you have connections? Do you have other streams of income you've been building? Or would you be completely lost? What happens if the person you rely on most suddenly isn't there anymore? Do you have the independence to stand alone? Do you have other meaningful connections? Do you have the emotional strength to handle it? Or would you fall apart? This is about removing vulnerability from your life. Vulnerability comes from dependence. When you depend completely on one thing, that thing controls you, it owns you. And if it goes away, you're finished. But when you have options, you have power. You can't be cornered, you can't be trapped. You can't be controlled through threats because you always have somewhere else to go. This applies to everything. Income streams, skills, connections, resources, living situations, everything. The goal isn't to be paranoid, it's to be unshakable, to reach a point where no single event can destroy you because you've built multiple foundations. Start today. What's one thing in your life that you're overly dependent on? What's one thing that if it disappeared would devastate you? Now ask yourself, what's my backup plan? If you don't have one, make one. Start building it now. Not when you're desperate, not when it's already too late. Now, while you still have stability. Save money so you're not trapped by financial pressure. Develop skills so you're not trapped by lack of options. Build real connections so you're not trapped by isolation. Create multiple paths forward so you're not trapped by circumstances. This is what Machiavelli called adaptability. The ability to respond to whatever life throws at you because you've already prepared for multiple scenarios. The future is uncertain. Things will change. Plans will fail. Unexpected events will happen. But if you're prepared, none of that destroys you. You just shift to plan B, or C, or D, and you keep moving forward. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I prepare for everything. Number 5. Power respects power. Never negotiate from weakness. Here's a truth that nobody wants to admit. Respect doesn't come from being nice. It comes from having power. Not power in a corrupt sense. Power in the sense of capability, options, value, the ability to walk away, the ability to say no, the ability to not need what the other person is offering. When you need something more than the other person needs you, you've already lost. They smell desperation, and they use it against you. This shows up everywhere in life. When you're desperate for approval, people withhold it. When you're desperate for attention, people ignore you. When you're desperate for help, people take advantage. But when you don't need anything, when you're complete on your own, suddenly everyone wants to be around you. That's not fair, but it's real. Machiavelli understood power dynamics better than almost anyone. He saw that people respect strength and exploit weakness, not because they're evil, but because that's human nature. Machiavelli once said, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." Now, that sounds harsh, but what does it really mean? It means respect based on your power and capability lasts longer than respect based on people liking you. Because when people just like you, they'll turn on you the moment it's convenient. But when people respect what you're capable of, they think twice before crossing you. So how do you build this kind of power? First, you build independence. Stop needing validation. Stop needing approval. Stop needing others to make you feel complete. Become someone who's perfectly fine alone. Second, you build options. When you have multiple paths forward, no single path controls you. When you have multiple people you could work with, no single person can leverage you. Third, You build skills and value. Become so capable that people need you more than you need them. Develop abilities that are rare and valuable. Fourth, you build boundaries. Stop saying yes to everything. Stop being available 24/7 for people who aren't there for you. Stop accepting treatment that doesn't respect your time and energy. Boundaries are power. When you set a boundary and enforce it, you're communicating something important. You're saying, I value myself enough to not accept less than I deserve. And people notice. They might test it. They might push back. But ultimately, they respect it. The people who get used and discarded are the ones with no boundaries. They're so afraid of losing people that they accept anything. And ironically, that's exactly why they get treated poorly. Nobody respects someone who doesn't respect themselves. Start building your power base today. Stop chasing. Stop begging. Stop accepting scraps. Stop negotiating from weakness. Build yourself into someone who doesn't need to negotiate at all. Someone whose very presence commands respect. Walk through life like you have options, because you should. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I operate from strength. Number 6. Timing is everything. Strike when the iron is hot. You know what destroys more dreams than failure? Hesitation. People see opportunities and they freeze. They overthink. They wait for perfect conditions. They analyze until the moment passes. And then they watch someone else take what could have been theirs. Machiavelli was obsessed with timing. He understood that power isn't just about what you do. It's about when you do it. The same action at the wrong time fails. The same action at the right time changes everything. He watched leaders who had all the resources, all the capability, all the potential, but they hesitated at the critical moment. They second-guessed themselves. They waited for more certainty. And while they waited, someone else moved. Someone bolder. Someone who understood that windows of opportunity don't stay open forever. Machiavelli once said, "Men rise from one ambition to another. First, they seek to secure themselves against attack, and then they attack others." There's a rhythm to success. There are moments when everything aligns, when the door is open, when the path is clear. Those moments don't last. You have to recognize them, and you have to move. This is why emotional control matters so much, because when that moment comes, your emotions will try to stop you. They'll flood your brain with doubt. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if it's not the right time? But your strategic mind knows better. It knows that perfect conditions don't exist. It knows that waiting for certainty means waiting forever. It knows that the cost of inaction is higher than the risk of action. Think about every major success you know about. Someone saw a gap, an opening, a possibility, and they moved on it before anyone else did. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't have guarantees. They just had a moment, and they took it. That's not recklessness. That's instinct combined with courage. Here's what you need to understand about timing. You can't create the perfect moment, but you can prepare yourself to recognize it when it arrives. And you can train yourself to act when it does. Opportunities look different than you expect. They're often disguised as challenges, as problems, as moments of instability. Most people see chaos and retreat. They wait for things to stabilize. They wait for clarity. But that's exactly when the opportunities exist. In the uncertainty, in the gaps, in the moments when everyone else is frozen. When you see an opening, analyze it quickly. Not for days, not for weeks. Give yourself a clear deadline to decide. Then move. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for confidence. Don't wait for the stars to align. Because tomorrow, the opening might be gone. Tomorrow, someone else might have taken it. Tomorrow, the window might have closed. Hesitation is the enemy of achievement. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I act with precision. Number 7. The end justifies the means. Focus on results, not approval. This is Machiavelli's most famous principle, and it's the one everyone misunderstands. People hear this and think it means do whatever you want, hurt whoever you want, be completely ruthless. That's not it at all. What Machiavelli really meant was this: stop obsessing over what people think about your methods and start focusing on whether those methods work. Here's the reality. You're going to be judged no matter what you do. If you succeed, people will criticize how you did it. If you fail, people will criticize that too. You can't win the approval game. It's rigged against you from the start, so stop playing it. Now, ignore the outdated language there. The core principle remains true. Success doesn't reward the timid. It doesn't reward those who play it safe. It doesn't reward those who need everyone to approve of their methods. The people who create real change don't do it by asking permission. They don't do it by following every rule. They don't do it by making everyone comfortable. They do it by seeing what needs to be done and doing it. Even when it's hard, even when it's unpopular, even when people criticize them. Think about anyone who's accomplished something significant. They all faced massive criticism. People called them crazy, reckless, wrong, too aggressive, too different. And they did it anyway, because they understood something crucial. At the end of the day, you're not judged by how much people liked your methods. You're judged by what you accomplished. Now, this doesn't mean ignore ethics. It doesn't mean hurt people unnecessarily. It doesn't mean be cruel. It means stop letting fear of criticism paralyze you. Stop letting other people's opinions dictate your actions. Stop seeking validation from people who aren't even trying to do what you're doing. Your path won't look like everyone else's. Your methods won't be traditional. Your approach will make some people uncomfortable. That's okay. That's actually a sign you're doing something that matters. The comfortable path doesn't lead anywhere interesting. The approved path doesn't create change. The safe path doesn't build anything remarkable. So stop worrying about approval. Stop letting fear of judgment slow you down. Stop seeking permission from people who don't understand your vision. Focus on results. Focus on impact. Focus on actually achieving what you set out to achieve. Because here's what Machiavelli understood that most people never learn. When you succeed, people forget how you did it. They rewrite history. They justify your methods. They call you brilliant. But if you fail while playing nice and following all the rules, nobody cares. Nobody remembers. Nobody celebrates you for trying really hard, but falling short. Results matter. Methods get forgotten. So focus on what actually matters. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Results define me. So there you have it. 7 brutal truths from Machiavelli that most people never learn. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. This stuff is hard. It goes against everything you've been taught. Society tells you to be open with your emotions, to trust everyone, to seek approval, to play nice, to follow the rules. And that's fine if you want to be average, if you want to blend in, if you want to be comfortable and never make waves. But you're here because you want something different. You want real power, real control, real results. And that requires thinking differently than everyone else. Machiavelli wasn't writing a guide to being popular. He was writing a manual for survival and success in a ruthless world. And guess what? The world hasn't changed much. It's still competitive. It's still full of people who'll use you if you let them. It's still unforgiving to those who don't understand how it really works. But now you know. You have the tools. You understand the game. So use them. Before you leave, drop a comment. Tell me which of these 7 lessons resonated most with you. Which one are you going to start applying right now? If this content added value to your life, hit that like button. It helps other people discover these lessons and helps this channel grow. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell, because we're going deeper every single week with content that'll change how you see the world and how you operate in it. Remember something important. The people who win in this world aren't lucky. They're not more talented. They're not special. They just understand things that other people don't. They see clearly while others are blind. They act strategically while others react emotionally. And now you're one of them. Stop being a slave to your emotions. Start being the master of your decisions. Stop hoping things work out. Start making them work out. Stop waiting for permission. Start taking what's yours. The world doesn't reward the nicest person. It rewards the strongest, the smartest, the most strategic. So be that. I'll see you in the next one. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am the strategist.